So welcome back guys to We Talk Boxing, and in this video I'm going to be talking about Richard Riakporhe and his latest performance on the weekend against a Kevin Espindola. Now this fight was on the undercard of Canelo versus Williams School, and it literally 24 hours now since these guys, or just over 24 hours since these guys fought. And it was a phenomenal performance from Richard Riakporhe. His first as well, I believe, at heavyweight. Now, in terms of his opponent, now when you look at his record on BoxRec, um, it's not a particularly good record. At the time, he had 9 wins with 9 losses, and 1 KO as well out of those losses. Now, he didn't perform like a guy who was a journeyman. It was actually quite decent for a few rounds in terms of he came to kind of win. And how his tactics set out in terms of this fight is that he was waiting to catch Richard on the back foot. So once Richard exploded in terms of letting his hands go with a few shots, he then tried to catch him on the counter with about a 10-second bout or burst, I should say, by throwing big hooks and uppercuts quite wildly at times. But he tried to catch him, off guard, and he tried to knock him out, which most journeymen don't normally do, if you know what I'm trying to say. Most journeymen would just stand there and take loads of shots, and very rarely they probably even throw a jab, for each round. They're pretty much a boxing bag for the whole fight. But this guy actually tried to catch Richard Riakporhe, and he tried to give him some back, and he tried to hurt him, but it just wasn't enough. Richard did well. He stayed professional. He kept him at bay, by throwing the jabs and the right hands every now and again. And the good thing that Richard did was he, rather than headhunting, he was landing some good, strong body shots, which eventually broke down his opponent. His opponent pretty much couldn't handle it, and he done well to get back on his feet. I can't remember what round it was. I think it was 4th round, 5th round. Can't remember now. Anyway, Richard broke him down to the body. He went down, and he done well, as I said, to get back to his feet, because I thought that was pretty much it. And then obviously, he just literally, for a journeyman, most journeymen probably would have called it a day at that point. But yeah, he surprised me, this guy did, to be fair. He was quite game, as I said. Not the greatest of fighters, not the best opponents, but for your first ever heavyweight bout, which is not much difference between cruiser and heavy, I think it's a good level fighter to get in there with. And it's a shame, really, because Richard was not long ago meant to be fighting Lawrence Okoli, but obviously something happened. I think it was an injury or something. Something happened. That fight fell through, and now he's back. And I didn't even know he was on the undercard of this fight, to be fair. So it was quite good to see him get out there and get a few rounds, I should say. But yeah, in terms of what next for Richard, I think he'll probably have a few more fights like this, just to probably try and whet his appetite a little bit in the heavyweight division. But maybe try and take on a couple fighters slightly higher level before looking for the bigger fights in this division. And I guarantee he'll probably want that Lawrence Okoli fight at some point as well, because, as I said, they were meant to get into the ring prior to this fight as well. Now, in terms of just a couple of other fights which I saw, there was a very, very good pro debut from a guy called Marco Verda. Never heard of him in my life. Obviously, it's his pro debut. So he was on this card. He looked very, very impressive. And I know, it's his first fight, but he looked very, very impressive for someone of his age. I think he was 23. His opponent was 33. So he's a bit more of a veteran. His opponent was more of a trainer in the gym. Hadn't really fought for a while, but he had the experience. So he's been in there prior to his absence from the ring. And Verda made him look quite basic. He kept him at bay. He had, good speed, good combinations, kept his man at bay, and yeah, a good first round stoppage for him. Looks like a good prospect. And there was another decent guy on the card as well called Brian Leon. I think that's his name. He looked very, very good. He fought against a guy called Guerrero or something like that. But his timing, speed, and accuracy, and his composure and his boxing IQ for me was the main difference of the reason why he won his fight. Now he is a super middleweight. I think he's still quite early in his career. You know what I mean? But um, I feel as if he could be a prospect. And his opponent as well in this fight managed to get off the floor um, twice in the third round as well. So he has got power. So I think he's a clever fighter, someone to maybe keep an eye on. But yeah, he looks like a prospect. So two decent prospects there as well. And just a random one off topic. I don't know if you guys watch strongman, but there was an old British strongman who was pretty much bringing out the fighters to the ring, and his name was Gavin Bilton. So it was good to see that he was getting some work by walking these guys down to the ring as well. So big up to him. And yeah, just let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What did you make of Richard's first heavyweight performance? As I mentioned at the start, it was his first fight back after a while. So for me, it was good to see him back in the ring. He looks more relaxed at heavyweight, whereas I just felt at times in cruiserweight, you know what I mean, he just didn't have that same energy, that same work rate as other cruiserweights. So I think heavyweight will probably suit him a little bit more. He just needs to get that a little bit more experience as well, but hopefully he could get that as well. And let's wait and see what happens. And as always, please subscribe and comment. Bless.